mostly cotton. A lot of the cotton mills were in the city of Manchester. Still a manufacturing city, but not manufacturing cotton. But at one time, this was all around here. This was very much the cotton industry. Same as Preston, near where we're staying tonight. That is another cotton mill town. Of course, we didn't grow our cotton here. We imported it from the United States.
Ah, cheating.
Well, we'll just be crossing the canal in just a moment.
Good to know. Replacing bridges of what's below. Nice to know.
Oh, we're on the wrong side of the...
We don't need this one.
No, well, it's over-engineering anyway.
Baby's good to me, you know she's happy as can be, you know she said so. I'm in love with her and I feel fine. Baby said she's mine, you know she tells me all the time, you know she said so. I'm in love with her and I feel fine.
Can't see very much of it, can you? That was it. Passing Lancaster on the way to the Lake District. Canal down there.
As you can see on the left and the right, dry stone walls, no binding, no cement of any type. The walls are hundreds of years old because, when a little bit falls down, they just rebuild it again. And you can see they make these nice patterns on the top, but it's a very intricate way of laying the stones one on top of the other. The National Park is about 900 square miles, instituted in 1951. We do have people living in our national parks, so there are lots of farms, lots of people living and having properties in the national park area, but there's a park authority who makes sure that nothing gets changed or spoiled to spoil the look of the area. So the area is famous for sheep farming. I know we've already seen a lot of sheep, but what we're going to see is two particular varieties of sheep, and actually we're not just yet, but in a little while we will see them after Bowness, and that's Herdwick sheep and also Swaydale sheep. They're two varieties who've been here for hundreds of years. Herdwick sheep have very rough fleeces. The lambs are born black, and then as they go older they go a sort of grey whitish colour. The Swaydales have black faces, black legs, also rough coats, and again a very good quality lamb, very suitable for the climate here, which is wet, a bit cold, and they come on a boat, that's fine, but as long as you do let me know. But if you can just stay on the boat just for a second, just so Richard can count you, and then you'll have half an hour free time down in Bowness-on-Windermere. So Richard will leave with you from here at 10:15. Those of you not doing the boat, he'll leave with you at 10:15, and then he'll drive you up to Ambleside, where the group will then rejoin, because we'll be on an hour's cruise of the lake. So this is Bowness-on-Windermere. But don't worry, where we're stopping for lunch, there's plenty of nice little shops like this as well. We can't stop everywhere, but we will stop in Grasmere, which is delightful, and everything will be open by the time we get to Grasmere, so you'll have plenty of opportunity for a bit of retail therapy today.
Lake Windermere, it's drizzling now. It's a bit grim actually. Let's hope it improves a bit. We're going to be going on one of these boats, blue and white boats, and our lake cruise, and then we've got a steam train trip. Don't know what a steam train trip's going to be like in the rain. Yeah, we will soon see, I suppose. And there's our coach. I forget where we are again. Lake Windermere, that's right. And it just stopped raining. Pleasure of pleasures, but there's no steam train cruise, so I'm bitterly disappointed again because I missed out on my castle. But Conrad does feel sorry. That's a good thing. Stone boathouse.
Are you travelling on your own?
Yes.
Very nice. What a few colourful flowers here. Just zoom in over there. Ferry, I'm going to zoom up there now. Got a bump, I'm afraid. The ferry is over there. It crosses the lake and connects the two cities together. Takes the cars across. There was a hand, it wasn't a sail. That's what I thought it was. It's naughty fellow travellers.
The Victorian Hotel nowadays is home to and the headquarters for the Freshwater Biological Association. Now they're a government body who test the water, not just here on Lake Windermere, but throughout the country, making sure it's safe and fit for us to drink.
See the stone houses, all the houses have this stone exterior.
Yeah, I think we actually drive past it, through it, around it, even the trees.
See, it's overcast, drizzling a bit again.
Tail in the Swan. This one was built in 1936 in Barrow-in-Furness, about 30 miles away. There's several on the slipway at the lake. 250-ton boat. Carries 533 passengers with a crew of 7. Now in the days before regulation, they just used to keep putting people on. As long as those small windows at the bottom weren't under the water, this was deemed fine. So she quite regularly carried well over 1,000 people.
Right, so we came from a bit earlier actually. That's where the dock is. Local pearly beach. Can you believe it? It's painted green though to blend in. Hardly very pretty, but anyway. Oh, it looks like a steam launch down there. Closest I want to see to a steam train today, because it looks like a steam train trip is not on today due to time, etc, etc. So all my exciting stuff is not really working out.
For a lot of years.
So,
quite a few old speedboats.
To the Steamboat Club.
It's Beatrix Potter's rowing boat in there. There's also Arthur Ransom's sailing dinghy that inspired him to write his novel Swallows and Amazons.
Northerly side of the lake now. These boathouses cost up to about £250,000, some of them. Heaven knows how much the houses cost. Approaching the end of the trip. So the next is going to be heading up to Edinburgh now. See the weather's come over a bit. It's very, very light drizzle now. It's not really raining anymore. Chilly. And this would have been the steam train we would have gone on, but okay, that wasn't to be, I suppose. Side, waiting to go past the smallest house.
Oh my goodness. So it was intentional.
Still the stone fronts. Everything very green, obviously. Again, I can't.
How many days like that?
It was only 2 days.
Oh, okay.
So folks, have a look at these lovely houses. Can you see the way the stones are on the outsides of the houses? So this is the little town of Ambleside. Lots of B&Bs.
A lot of ramblers and walkers here as well.
So if you're ever in these parts again, you know, maybe come for a weekend and then you can do a bit of walking or rambling, as the ramblers call it. We'll probably see some of them with their brown boots and walking sticks.
You must have a walking stick, obviously. And that goes without saying.
Called a bridge house because it's actually built on a little bridge and it's over a little brook, and it's just coming into view now. It's now a tourist information centre for Ambleside, and we'll just ask Richard just to go slowly past the house, just coming into view now on the left hand side. But you will be able to get postcards in Grasmere of the little house.
Not sure which.
So,
where is it? I don't know. Oh, here it is. And that's the entire house.
Building that's not there, boys, and building the proper house.
Well, you would be by the time you looked in there.
Folks, we're just coming into Rydal, and this was where William Wordsworth lived in his retirement. Actually, we can't see the house. Well, you can just see the back. Can you see there's a larger house there up on the right, and Rydal Mount is actually behind it there. And the last 18 years of his life, when he was already a little bit richer, he lived in Rydal Mount. But his earlier street, the actress in the boats, the little boathouse, we'll see it through the trees to the left. And all those scenes are filmed around here.
Where he sees the French lieutenant's woman in the shot.
That's the boathouse to the left, and we'll get a better view of it actually as we go around the lake. Now, here are some Herdwick sheep up on the right there. There's a pretty little cottage coming up on the right hand side, which is Nab Cottage. This is where the two writers Samuel Coleridge and Thomas de Quincey lived. Side we're going to pass Dove Cottage, where William and his family lived. The cottage is about a 10-minute walk from the village itself, but what I'm going to do is take you up the street in the other direction, up towards St Oswald's and the graveyard where William is buried. Only take about 10 minutes. And Dove Cottage, you'll catch a glimpse of it. It's set back from the road. Now we'll just slow down. If Richard could just slow down for us here by this big tree. If you keep looking to the right hand side, you can see the blue sign for Dove Cottage. That's the tea rooms, but just by that reddish tree, through the trees there, that's Dove Cottage. That's where William and his family lived. Small little village church. This is a very old church. It was founded in 1260, and we're in the oldest part of the church now. In the 1540s, they needed to extend the church. So rather strangely, they took the original roof off and they sort of made these holes in the walls and extended the church through there. It was said that up until the 1800s, men and women sat on separate sides of the church, men through the entrance through which we came there, and ladies through the other door there. And they would have sat on separate sides. And not only that, you would have sat on separate sides of the church, but also according to which part of the village you came from. You know, each little part of the village had its own little sections. So they could easily tell if you weren't there on a Sunday morning. Now these pews are not very old at all, and they wouldn't have been here in William Wordsworth's time. We think there was probably wooden benches then, but probably back in medieval times people probably just stood in the church. There wouldn't have been any kind of seating at all. We've got a stone floor here now in the church, but again this is relatively new, because for hundreds of years, really up until about the 1700s, they used to bury all the people in the floor of the church. I don't just mean here, but in any church, people buried in the floor of the church. This church couldn't afford. His wife Mary, 1859.
William Wordsworth's grave.
His sister Dorothy, 1855. She was, you know, probably a closet poetess in her own right, but because she was a woman, you know, couldn't really publish her work.
Family.
And then one of his children, Dora Quinlinan, is buried here, and that was her husband, Edward Quinlinan.
Maybe William never wrote the poems at all, actually.
Cousins in this plot as well. And then a memorial there to the Wordsworths there. And then if we
The
can
back
sort
of the
carry
church.
on, because otherwise we'll get to the
Couldn't resist this shot. Gonna go into the village and get some of the mint now. Mother will love this one anyway. Standing at the river right next to the church at the moment. Also probably quite an old bridge, I imagine. Just a shot on the main road here, but the place is very small. It's just a couple of shops really and a few houses. So they specialise in mint here as well. So I'm going to go and try have some mint. To leave Grasmere. There's our tour director.
The stock was dry and the cream tasted off. So I did enjoy
Was it
that.
those scones that you put just at the edge of the fridge?
Yeah,
I thought I saw some scones there.
Yeah, that's it.
Just leaving Grasmere, heading towards Moffat now. Oh, it's very green here.
We're now going to make up a hill which is called Dunmail's Raise. Dunmail was the last king of Cumbria. He died in the year 950, and we're going to see a pile of stones in the middle of the road, and that's his burial cairn. If you look now back to the left, you can see the lion on top of the mountain. Can you see the lion? Yeah. But anyway, they call it the Lion and the Lamb.
Which mountain? Alright. The one on the left.
But I don't see it.
I think it's something he just says to keep us interested.
Comes down at a fast pace and is always in that kind of whitish colour, so they call it the sour milk gill.
Forest as well.
Now, the next lake, Thirlmere, is the reservoir for the city of Manchester, some 100 miles from. Yeah, a few fishermen fishing in the lake there, in the reservoir, and the little parish church of Wyburn on the right. The only building remaining of the village.
Black lambs. Just find one or two.
I think they only got the song wrong the other day. It's Baba Black.
Sheep. There's a lot of trees next to the road, but stunning scenery. There's a river down there.
The lambs are black.
There's a bridge.
Keeps you all awake this afternoon.
Sure. See the stone walls up there. Hit it. Our way to Moffat. Green and gold. Flying the South African colour. Nova.
I don't have any.
Going into Scotland.
Maybe we can, if we go into the, let's go into that lane just for We just go into this lane just for those. It's really raining, so maybe the photographs won't be so good. But if you keep looking now, the sign is coming, and it says there, "Scotland welcomes you, Cé Mil Fáilte." Cé Mil Fáilte, which in the Gaelic language, Cé Mil Fáilte means 100,000 welcomes in the Gaelic language. So welcome to Scotland.
Well, we're in Scotland, and I'll take it.
Scotland is a kingdom in its own right. I did mention this before, but just to remind you that Scotland was joined in the Union with England in the year 1707, the Act of Union, when the Scottish Parliament voted itself out of existence. Many of the parliamentarians had lands in England, and so I think they thought it would be to their benefit to join the two countries together. But like we said, since 1990... famous families of the cattle drovers in these areas, or the Johnstons.
Arrived in Moffat. It's the narrowest hotel in the UK in Guinness Book of Records.
And
this is Moffat.
Some nice names of shops. Look at Thingamajig down on the right.
Oh, that's my place.
The Rumbling Tum.
That's my place.
The Singing Potter. Potter.
Potter Harry. Leaving Moffat.
Probably, I'm not sure.
Town behind us. And here's the river. On the road from Moffat to Scotland, the scenic route. And you can see the yellow gorse bushes there. On the hills.
They would hide the cattle from each other in the Devil's Cauldron, in the Devil's Beef Tub as it's also called, you know, and the other families wouldn't be able to find them, and they're able to get away from them. And if we can, we'll do a photo stop at the top there. But it's amazingly clear, really isn't that this clear that often up here.
For the pass, this is Devil's Cauldron.
Big fan of it.
Yeah, I like that song, it's good. Very stirring.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah,
You're gonna go.
it's a real party song.
You're gonna go down the flames,
I thought we weren't going to shut him up.
Yeah.
Stone circle. It's for putting the sheep in when the weather's very bad, particularly when there's snow. They put the sheep into these stones, because the stone circles, you know, to keep them warm. Otherwise the sheep are just left out at night time out on the fields. They certainly don't put them into any kind of stables or anything at night time.
It's the River Tweed just below the source. Quite small still.
garden today.
Town of Broughton.
Oh, it's almost done. Can you see there on the left? So in a few weeks' time, when everything starts to flower, it's absolutely beautiful.
Gardener of the Holyrood Palace.
Have a look at the rest of his garden. Even these back parts here are absolutely beautiful. Really tends the garden. And then he's got the wild bits up here as well, with all the blue flowers there. That's all his bit of garden as well.
No wonder he's got the job. Travelling to Edinburgh, about 20 miles to go. But
I'm going to put a poster up in reception
Edinburgh.
with the times for tomorrow and also the next day as well, okay, because I know it's a bit confusing with 2 night stays, so I'll put a poster up with all those times. But I want to talk a bit now about what you can do.
Edinburgh.
So nothing to worry about.
It's always the first time I think I pop.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't think I've met anyone yet who's been disappointed with Edinburgh. I think it's always a city which enchants people. It really is sort of unique in its architecture, in its style, and you know, the centre of a city really is something quite special, quite different. On the hill, you can see the castle up on the rock there to the far left, and all of the old town as well. And we're just going above Waverley Station, the main railway station for Edinburgh. Yeah, and the statue at the end here is the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington.
Sherlock Holmes. Seem to have missed Sherlock. It's a view from the 12th floor. They've got the Festival of the Yachts on at the moment at £15 per person. So there's a lot of activity down here in the harbour. Quite a lot of boats. And the Royal Britannia yacht is also moored here, so I'm going to go try and visit that. And just now we're off to the Scottish dinner at the pub.
You know, the old part of the city was high up. You know, it was a walled city, so that nobody would disturb the inhabitants. And they say that Edinburgh was the first city to really have people living in very tall buildings. Because in the old city, some of the schools in Edinburgh, and they would be paid £10 for a fresh corpse. Oh,
follow that bus.
Follow that bus. That's it. Well, who could it be? But what a fantastic building. So that's Fettes College, F-E-T-I-E-S.
Looks like something out of Harry Potter.
Yeah, actually, yeah. It was
Tony Blair.
yeah, it's, I don't know why they didn't use it for Harry Potter. It would have been a good one.
Over here.
No, there's actually 3 exits. You can take one.
On the way to the Scottish dinner now. Not the fancy one, but the pub dinner.
New suspension bridge. Well, new, the built 1964. But have a look back at the old bridge.
Treasure Island.
It's quite a masterpiece of engineering, held together by some 8,000 rivets.
We're going to come back after dinner when the lights are on.
We want to go to the day as well.
It's daylight almost, yeah.
It's daylight here.
But it's lit up later on, you see, so it looks really nice. Further up.
View from the restaurant. That pub we were talking about, where Robert Louis Stevenson was there somewhere, I think. I think that was the pub there somewhere. There it is.
You're not going to have one?
And the view of the bridge.
That's like an old room
Yeah, we're going to get a night shot just now, hopefully.
If anyone wants to go outside, I can show you at the side of the hotel.
Okay.
Building restaurant if you want to. We're going to go afterwards when it's nice.
Well, we just want to get a daytime shot as well. We had supper. It's from 1600 and something with a view over the river. Opposite over here is apparently the old toll booth. Up in this building.
Lovely night.
Yes.
Jubilee clock. 1887.
I missed the clock, wait. I'll get the clock quickly.
The weather vane of it.
Oh goodness, I didn't get the weather vane either. Oh,
You have to get back further.
just catch me if I fall backwards though. There we go.
I think you're on your own. You're trusting us too much.
It was the French red wine. Shot of the bridge now. It's now, I think I can check the clock. It's 9 o'clock in the evening. Bridge is on fire. We'll be crossing the bridge tomorrow as well. There's an island in the middle there. And here's a bit of a beach as well, yeah. Oh, that's nice. Here's Richard, our driver. How they get this bus through here, you won't believe it, but anyway. Sometimes he has to mount the pavement as well. We're just walking back now towards the bridge. Old fish and chip shop. It's another hotel. This is an 1870 building, standing all on its own. There's another shot of the bridge with the sun setting. Got the other bridge on the other side. Twilight shot.
especially
Now,
the sea
morning tour of
runs every
Edinburgh.
year
This is the hotel we're
on
staying
English
in.
bank holiday.
Went out of the
Yeah,
town last night.
all the Scots are back at work because we had our holiday last week.
Here, right here.
Clever, that, isn't it?
Door to
Yeah,
front.
yeah. And just to give you some useless information, you see these apartments? Just coming up here on our left-hand side is a great big tall black Gothic monument. Now that is our monument to Sir Walter Scott, the greatest of the Scottish authors. And he was actually born here in the city of Edinburgh. He was born just about maybe a mile and a quarter over to the left, in a street called Guthrie Street. The monument itself is 200 feet high, and you can actually climb to the very top by means of 287 steps. There's no elevator, there's no escalator, it's steps all the way. But they do tell me that when you get to the very top, the views are absolutely magnificent. So they tell me. I have been up there when I was a boy. That house for 7 years. But Lord Lister was a very intelligent man. He was a surgeon. He is the surgeon responsible for getting all the doctors together and telling them to scrub up. You see, before Lord Lister's times, 19 out of 20 patients were dying in the post-doctor period. And this was not through lack of skill on the surgeon's part. This was merely because of the little germs. Germs that cause infections, gangrene, eventually death. It's a bathhouse. It's where you would take a bath. You would leave the palace wrapped up in your towel. You'd walk over there and you'd take a bath. If it rains, you get a shower for nothing. That is actually known as Mary, Queen of Scots bathhouse. The white building coming up on our left, I'm not going to tell you what this is called. You can read it for yourself.
Holyrood House.
But looking down to the left, that's the servants' quarters. Looking down to the left, you get a lovely view of the palace of Holyrood House. That's down to our left now. The two towers you see there, that's the original guest house of the Abbey. And just behind the green boards on our left now is the site of the new Scottish Parliament. This is where we're going to build the Houses of Parliament for Scotland, if we ever get enough money. Well, it started off at 46 million. It's now just under 400 million. And they still haven't put the plumbing in yet. The white building's on our right. This is formerly the townhouse of the Whiteford family. They gave their mansion house as a veteran's residence. And on the left, the Marquis of Queensberry, who gave his rules to boxing, gave his home as a veterans' hospital. So the old soldiers had somewhere to go, and when they fell ill, they could walk across the road to Queensberry House. Saved a fortune in ambulances. Over here on our left front is Milton House Public School. And here in Scotland, a public school is public. Not private like it's in England. That's called Milton House because John Milton, the blind English poet, lived in a house on that site. And he wrote a very moving poem about his blindness, in which he apologised to God, saying, "They also serve who only stand and wait." Lovely words, lovely words. Society, that was a tax office and a prison. It's now being turned into something useful. A tavern. And on our left we have the former townhouse of the Earls of Moray. No longer used by the Earls of Moray, it's now a teacher training college. And that is where you go to learn to teach children, before you're unleashed on these poor, unsuspecting youths. Gentlemen, through the archway on our left, first building through there on the right hand side, is the oldest working Masonic temple in the world. Freemasonry actually began here in the city of Edinburgh. So it's hardly surprising that the oldest temple, the Temple of St. John, would be in the old town of Edinburgh. And coming up again on the left, you'll see some more archways. Through these archways takes us into Chesil's Court. And it was in Chesil's Court that a man called Deacon William Brodie was captured, robbing the excise office, the tax office. Probably the only decent thing he ever did in his life. You see, during the day, Deacon Brodie was a magistrate, a joiner, locksmith, cabinet maker. He was a pillar of society. That was during the day. But every evening he changed. He turned into a thief and a mugger. And shortly before he was captured, robbing the excise office, in his capacity as a magistrate, he presented the city of Edinburgh with a brand new set of gallows. They worked perfectly. He was the first to try them out.
He was a man who inspired Robert Louis Stevenson to write the story of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, real live Edinburgh character, Deacon William Brodie. And just in front of us, where the traffic lights now sit, is where the city wall used to stand. In the city wall there was a gate. The gate was known as the Netherbow Port. Now port is simply a Latin word which means a gate. It's not the port that you drink, it's a gate. And this was the Netherbow Port, within the city wall. And we're only talking about an area of maybe a square mile. There lived over 10,000. It's a very cramped and a very dirty way of living. Anybody leaving the old town would have to pass through this narrow gateway. They would go into the wild blue yonder. There they could be attacked and murdered. Nobody cared. The site of the gateway is actually marked out in the roadway in front of us in brass studs. And as we go through, if you look up to the right front, sticking out from the wall, you will see a scaled representation of the Netherbow Port, or gate. Now it is a scaled representation, and in the actual gateway there are two figures, a man and a woman. The woman is approximately 4'11". The man is 5'2". That's the height of people in those days. And you'll see that once, if the lights ever change. It's painted brown. It says Netherbow 43. You can see the two figures in the doorway. The building jutting out in the right front, this is John Knox's house. And this is where the great Scottish reformer lived and died. And tucked in the corner, just past John Knox's, above the shop, is Mowbray House, the oldest occupied dwelling house in Edinburgh, dates back to the early 1400s. And over here on the left, the noisiest museum in the world. A museum of childhood. Not a museum for children, but a museum of children's toys. Toys dating all the way back to Roman times. And the one thing I should tell you about it is, admission is free. We do give you something for nothing. Over on our left here, the Holiday Inn, Crown Plaza, a 16th century Scottish baronial building. It was actually built in 1990. But because of the laws of conservation, it has to blend in with the rest of the buildings in the old town of Edinburgh. So they built as a 16th century Scottish baronial building. And we're going to have to make a slight detour because this stretch of roadway up front of us there is closed to all traffic except for local service buses, taxis and bicycles. So that's it closed. So we're going to make a detour. Just on here on the right of the old church. It's known as Christ Church of the Tron. Very unusual name for a church, a Tron, because normally a church would be called after a saint. Well, a Tron, T-R-O-N-E, was a public weighing beam. And a great wooden beam used to sit on the site of that church. Nice and slowly, Tom, please. There you are. That's where it was, in there. It's now a fire station pub. It's amazing what they'll do with old buildings, isn't it? It's lovely because the pumps are still working, but they sell beer nowadays. Now, I showed you a lovely view of Edinburgh Castle. I now want to show you another view, but this time it's a dramatic view of Edinburgh Castle. What we're going to do here is we're going to stop down at the bus stop just up ahead here. And as we go past this opening, look up to the left.
View of Edinburgh Castle from below. And also there's our guide over there for the day. All these regalia, including cell phone, I see. This is where we came
on the left there, the Beehive Inn, mentioned by Egon Rowlands. On the left now, the White Hart Inn. A favourite haunt of Robert Burns when he was here in Edinburgh.
We mean Kenneth will
and coming up on the left, a pub with a very, very strange
all these pubs down here.
It's called The Last Drop Tavern.
It's a grass market.
And it's nothing at all to do with the last drop in the bottle. No Scottish pub would run out of drink. Just at the top of the road here, there's a fenced off area, and in the middle there, big round stone. That's the old execution site of Edinburgh. And everybody who was executed in Edinburgh was always given the last drink. They took the last drink from the local pub. Nobody remembers the name of the local pub. It simply became known as the place where you took your last drop, before you took your last drop on the gallows. You try saying that when you've had a mouthful. So the name was simply shortened to the Last Drop Tavern, and it's kept that name ever since. Another very famous story that took place in the hills outside the city of Edinburgh. And he used to walk the hills with an old shepherd, a man called Jock Gray. Now Jock Gray retired. He came into Edinburgh. Bobby came with him. Old Jock only lasted a few months here in Edinburgh, and then he died. And the only mourner who followed the casket to the graveyard at Greyfriars Kirk was that wee dog, Bobby. Once the service was over and the grave was filled in, Bobby then sat on his master's grave. And there he remained for the next 14 years. Winter, spring, summer, autumn made no difference at all to Bobby. He sat and guarded his master's grave until he too was found dead. It's a lovely story. It is a true story. And we know it's a true story because they made a movie about it. Well, come on, they don't make movies about things that aren't true now, do they? No, they don't. We can all fly on broomsticks, can't we? Aye. Well, my mother-in-law can. Aye, she frequently does. But just coming up on the top of the road here on the left-hand side, sitting on a pedestal, is an 18-inch high bronze statue of Greyfriars Bobby. Now, unfortunately, we're looking at the wrong end of it, because we're at the back side. Yeah, well, we'll be going round the one-way system and coming back down this way, so you'll see him again. Just on the left there is the statue of Greyfriars Bobby. A lovely story and a true story. I'm going to have to shut up. Still clear. There you go. Just because we always have problems getting out of that opening there. One thing I should mention, just ahead of us, take it home with you and get the kids around you, the youngsters around you. Sit and watch it. Bring you back to Edinburgh where it was filmed on location. Just on our left, sitting on the pedestal, the 18-inch high bronze statue of Greyfriars Bobby. A lovely story, it really is. If you do get the video and you get all the youngsters around you, sit and watch it, you will have to buy one thing.
Standing below Edinburgh Castle in the gardens. Here the sheer rocks, three sides are sheer volcanic rock where the glaciers went past, and the fourth side is sort of a slope, access slope. I'm going to still do the visit so we can get some closer shots. And it's got the oldest crown jewels in Great Britain. View of the castle from a little bit further along, and a shot a little bit further away as well. Quite impressive. Gonna go grab a lunch quickly, I think, before I go up to the castle. To the castle, I just found this. Finally up the hill. It was quite a long walk. I don't know how people attack this place. This is the entrance gate. They'll be exhausted before they even get up here. And there's streams of people. So it's onward and inward, and hopefully a nice view from the top as well. Entrance is through the gate. They built the new gate in 1880 something. There's a fancier gate to the the one a bit higher up over there. So this is the main gate. Now this is the proper thing. These look quite sharp. Should be a good view here on top. Maybe I'll look at the view. Yeah, I'm sitting on the top of the ramparts here. See, there's a modern gun over there as well. Wow, what a view. And you can see the gardens down at the bottom. And there's a sort of a amphitheatre there, I think, where they do concerts and so on. There's a bay at the back. That was I think the Nelson's column over there. The Waverley Bridge. And that was, I forget whose memorial that was now. Somebody famous. This is Prince's Mile, or Royal Mile, goes between here and Holyrood Palace. Yeah.